Hey guys, today I'm going to be recording the 1 week away from the Derby, pretty much. It's not quite a week anymore, but 1 week away from the Derby update. And the Regal has been changed quite a bit, guys, quite a bit. I honestly didn't expect to get as far as I did in this amount of time, and it's turning out pretty good. You guys will see I got a front bumper on there, and I'll be showing you that a little bit more, and I'm going to explain to you guys what I have to do to this thing still and what I've already done. So let's take one look around the car. Obviously you can see that I now have a door plate on the car. Still have to paint and stuff, but that's coming along pretty well. Got a roof sign, and it looks pretty good. I actually got those numbers from a garage sale. I was just like, hey, I know what that would be useful for. So, still have to pre-bend the back, but other than that, it's essentially done. I don't know whether I told you guys, but I did end up changing those control arms, or trailing arms, rather. Oh, I plated all the doors, that's right. So a lot has been done on this thing. And I've changed a couple things under the hood, and I've changed the hood. But the major change really to this thing, I guess, is the front bumper. The front bumper is finally on this car, and that's what's holding it on, guys. I did not cut the crush boxes off. I'll explain that right now, because I could hard nose this, but here's my thinking, guys. I'm gonna be against Camrys, okay? I'm gonna need every inch of this frame that I can have. I mean, even though I don't know how much this crush box is now going to bend, because it's pretty solid now. This is a 5-inch plate, and it's holding on the bumper only here. And we're not allowed extra bolts or anything, it's just the weld. I also got another plate under there on the other side, and they're all bent with this bend right here. And the thinking behind that bend is to give me a little bit of use of this crush box, hopefully, if it bends, unless the frame bends back here or even further back. Who knows? But in the idea of picking this bumper, a lot of these guys you're gonna see are going with heavy steel, chrome, you know, real heavy bumpers. And I'm picking essentially a Ford Taurus bumper with the plate on the front that came from the factory, and I'm going to be stuffing it. I am also going to be stuffing this, guys, but the idea behind this bumper here is that it's gonna take some blows. It's gonna take some hits. But once it reaches those pipes on the inside that I'm going to be stuffing this bumper with, it shouldn't bend too much further beyond that. But honestly, even if it does, hopefully it will be after 2 minutes in the Derby, and hopefully, if I make it that far, hopefully it will take most of the impacts before this frame does. You know, it's going to absorb a lot more than what those other bumpers are going to. Are they absolutely going to destroy this bumper? I think so. Are they absolutely going to destroy this frame? Probably. But hopefully I can make it a lot further than what I've ever done before, which is 56 seconds. So I'm just crossing my fingers that this Regal is more than 56 seconds, so we're a minute and a half total or somewhere around there of Derby use in it, because that's all the runs I got in the Century was about a minute and a half total time. So that kind of sucked. So this bumper is now very much on there. It's not going anywhere. Yes, I do have steel toe shoes. Don't ask. I wish I had boots, but that's okay. That hood is now cut, and I'll show you guys why I did that. Right there. That's why I did it. It's because this was all torn up because the last time I cut it, because I was trying to make clearance for it, and it had very sharp edges, and it came all the way back here. It was very close to this coil pack, so I'm just like, screw it. I'm just gonna friggin' cut the hood right there, and that's what I did. I still have to bend some metal tabs up here. There's a little bit of sharpness there. I really just don't want that stupid of a reason to be out of a Demolition Derby, you know. Of course, something that stupid could happen anyway, like a wire coming unplugged or whatever, but, you know, you never really do know. And I replaced this pressure line. I did not replace the return line because realistically this doesn't have to deal with that much PSI. It's the pressure line that's really dealing with the PSI here, and I think I've already explained this once, but the line that was on here before had multiple connections. I had over 10 hose clamps between this connection right here and the back of the car, pretty much, essentially. I had like 4 hose clamps from here to here, or 5, and maybe even 6. And I think I had 4 to 5 back here, which is just too much. Excuse my allergies, guys. This part of the year has been pretty terrible for me. So, anyway, got that all the way back to this, to the fuel filter there. I'm going to be tying this all down, making it nice and secure. I'll talk about that in just a second. Trying to think of what other changes we made under this hood since you guys have last seen it. Oh, I did end up changing this cooling fan out. Originally, well, I'm not running 2 because I'm too afraid of the cooling fan coming in here and destroying all this wiring, and that is some major wiring that I cannot afford to lose, like the starter, transmission, really important wiring. So I'm gonna keep that all opened up. I mean, look at this room. I mean, this is the radiator all the way in here. You got at least a foot. Trying to think of what else I did. Yeah, this is actually the cooling fan. I got a funny story behind this one. I don't know if I think some of you original people do know this, but anybody new to this car, this core sport rotted out, and this cooling fan on this side of the car, this was the cooling fan on this side of the car, dropped out while he was driving it, and he drug it around for longer than he said he did because the bottom mounts were absolutely melted. So I ended up zip tying the bottom of that thing in pretty loosely, actually. So hopefully when the radiator, if the radiator does push in that far, you know, it's gonna push the radiator fan back with it and hopefully do less damage to the radiator fan than, you know, I mean, to the radiator than what it would have if it was solid in there. And the second reason I chose this fan is because it's a lot shorter for the motor. You always have, generally in these cars, you have a fan that's longer in the motor and a fan that's shorter. You always want to have the shorter one if you're going to run one, because it doesn't make sense to run the longer one because that's just less room to crush in. So, I mean, not much else has changed under the hood of this thing. Now to the inside, which the major change to the inside, really, as far as I can remember, is just this battery box, honestly. This battery box is at essentially 2.0 of every battery box I've ever had. If you guys go back to the Century, you'll remember it was just 2-threaded rod and a piece of wood holding down the battery with a piece of wood on this side, a piece of wood on that side, and that was it. Well, this place requires you to have a metal box. So I put a metal box around it, which was originally in this car. I made some modifications because I got another battery and it was too big. And so now it fits perfectly in there, pretty much. It's got a little gap on that side. I'll be filling that in with either a piece of wood or something just to make it nice and solid in there so it's not flopping around at all. Even though I don't think it's going to anyway, because I'm still going to have that piece of wood holding down the battery. Essentially, what's stopping it from going this way is the battery box. What's stopping it from going this way and up, forward and up, is the piece of wood holding it down. I'm also going to have a rubber mat on top of that, which they require to have. Let's see. I don't think much else has changed on the inside. I do have covers all over that just because we were welding on this thing and I didn't want sparks for some reason to fly over and hit the gas tank. That would be pretty bad if it for some reason caught on fire, but luckily it didn't, and pretty much all the welding in this car is done. except for stuffing the bumper and just tacking it in there. So this is the driver's door bar, essentially. We had a lot of trouble deciding on what we wanted to do, because there's no way in hell I'm going to tear this dash out. Just no way. I'm just not going to do it. It's not worth it. Guys, this car is far too rusty to put that much time into. Yes, I dumped quite a bit of money into this thing just already with all the stuff I have done to it, but, you know, it wasn't worth the time and the money to rip out the dash, put a bar across there, put a bar across there, put a bar across here, which I really couldn't anyway, because look at this. The bar would have went right here. And guess what's in the way? My freaking seatbelt mechanism. So it's just not going to work. So I figured, you know what? I was almost going to run with no driver's door protection, but through some thinking and some deciding, I decided to throw a plate on this door, which is a 1/4 inch thick plate. Very heavy, very solid. So hopefully, and with these welds, all these welds are going across here, hopefully it stays on, first of all, but second of all, hopefully it's tough enough. I mean, there's quite a bit of crushing room in there, and so I'm not too afraid. I'm gonna have a big cushion here anyway, so not too bad. Let's see, what else? Oh, roof sign, that's right. So the original roof sign off this car, this is actually the original roof sign off the Century. You can see where the cage used to go through there. Had to butcher it, essentially, just to cut those welds. I cut it with a grinding wheel, and that probably was not the way to go because it looks like crap, but that's okay because the rest of the roof sign looks pretty good. Better than my original, that's for sure. It's kind of embarrassing, that original roof sign, because the numbers weren't even, so they were just kind of just flopped on there, you know. But I got that bolted in 4 places with pretty heavy metal. When you take the roof sign, it actually shakes the whole roof. So you guys can see I have four bolts coming through the top with nuts on the bottom. So that's gonna hold on. That's gonna be perfect for what I needed to do. And this thing is still gonna start off the key to this thing. I mean, not many cars there are gonna start off the key, but this is gonna be one of them. Not too common in this Derby. So, and shout out to Spinning Wheels Productions for even making this Demolition Derby happen, guys. This is kind of a miracle in this state. I still have promoters, essentially promoters, talking to me and saying they're confused because they had no idea how they were able to do it. And they said they probably wouldn't do it anyway because there's no spectators, and what's the fun in that? Well, honestly, guys, one of the reasons I'm going is because I'm able to record. If I wasn't able to record, I don't know whether I'd go or not. But honestly, I figure I have an audience watching from this camera right here. I mean, honestly, if 1,000 people watch a video, then 1,000 people have watched, you know, me in a heat and everybody else in that heat. So that's a pretty good crowd, guys. If you think about it, that's 1,000 people. You know, if you filled up those grandstands, that's quite a bit of people. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. And they're also going to be live streaming the event. So it starts at 1, and I think I'll probably be in the ring about 1:30ish on that day. The weather's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be in the upper 60s, believe it or not. Very rare compared to what it's been. Actually, today's a really cool day too. But anyway, I'm just rambling on now, guys. This car is going to be ready to go. I still got quite a bit of things to do to it. I want to lift the suspension. Yes, I know a lot of the things that I did, I said I wasn't going to do, but I just have a lot of time. So I'm going to lift the suspension, fill the tires, because I'm allowed to fill the tires with spray foam. I'm going to fill them with spray foam, believe it or not. I'm going to probably be changing the stem on the tires. Let's see, what else am I going to do? More paint, protection on the gas tank, get that battery box all ready to go. I mean, there's just not a whole lot to do. I gotta clean up limp mode, but just really not a lot to do, guys. So like, comment, subscribe. I will still be giving you guys updates hopefully between now and the Derby, and stay tuned because Derby Day is coming. Alright guys, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye everybody.